It looks like we are good. Welcome everybody. Moving to Las Vegas. Winds of change. That is what this video is about. If you're moving to Las Vegas, Nevada, I have a lot that you need to know. Some you may know and be able to assume, but you know, with all the negative talk about real estate out there, and definitely the changes that I've been seeing and talking about, and might even sound a little negative about, because mostly what I've talked to on my previous videos has been the sellers, those who are the people I'm talking to and saying, hey, sellers, yeah, we might have just passed through a wonderful time, the high point, a high watermark to sell your property. But things have changed and we are not seeing a usual springtime market. So if you're a buyer, that sounds like good things to me. But here's the problem. There's a lot of fear. So you're going to want to combat that. You're going to want to be fearless. And I think there will be reward for you on the other side if you're buying in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm going to go through some numbers. I'm going to go through some information. I even have a video today that I'd like to share. We'll comment on that a little bit. But I am Rob Hau, Las Vegas Realtor, and now you know how to sell or buy a home in Las Vegas, Nevada. I hope this stream is going very well right now. Looks like it is. Wonderful. You know, I got on a little late today because yeah, always learning new things and adding new things and trying to make my YouTube better for your watching pleasure. So let's jump in. The winds of change, the springtime market that we usually see in Las Vegas, or I should say in the last several years, has been very hot. And yeah, generally speaking, the spring market throughout my career in the last 15 plus years has been always going up. So you get a lot of buyer activity. We're not crashing, but we're just not seeing the same activity, and we're seeing a lot more listings on the market. And I'm going to show you what happened even from my last week when I did a video to this week, and I'll show you from the very beginning of April as well. So you can expect that in here. If you're coming here to Las Vegas, if you're thinking about it, this is your market to buy in. Really, truly. It is going to be a sweet time for you to buy. Sellers, well, you need to be smart and sell to these buyers that are out here that are probably going to be even more picky, I would say. I think there's picky buyers out there, and you know, they're going to want to get a deal. They're going to want to feel like they got a deal. A lot of people that are buying right now, I think, are going to want to feel like they got a deal. That's why you're even seeing investor activity continuing, although those investors, you know, those iBuyers, they're out there like crazy right now. They're definitely not slowing down, but they are not offering the same amount of money that they might have been offering in months or years past. They are trying to get a deal, okay, so that they can make sure to lock in a return when they resell your property, when they fix it up or resell. And by the way, if you're selling to one of these people, I think you're crazy. And I'm going to show you right here. This is, you know, you've probably seen one of these or something like it. This is a little bit more fancy. They make it look like they sent you a check in the mail. And this one is made out to me for $451,584. Seems like a very exact number that they were shooting for there. That's nearly $200,000 less than what my property would, you know, should be listed for and might sell for right now. So yeah, do you want to sell to these people? I mean, you don't have to, even if your property's in not so great condition. Like, that's not a reason to sell to these iBuyers. I just think that's crazy. So anyway, moving on to the points that I'm trying to make for you buyers out there that are moving to Las Vegas, Nevada. There is with this inventory, I just want to show you here. Let me bring it up. Let me screen share a little bit. Let's see which one am I going to pop up. I'll pop up. This should be the right one. All right. All right. So this is the one I took today, okay? This is total on market on the multiple listing service. We have 9,431 properties approaching 10,000 rather rapidly, okay? Because I'm going to show you here. Let me get this one. That is at the beginning of the month in April. It's 8729. You might not think that's a big jump, but you know, it's a big jump. I'm assuring you, especially compared to what we were seeing in previous months and springs. We were just not seeing that kind of spring was anemic for listings availability. So we're seeing a big jump there, and that is continuing. Every time I look, I'm seeing higher and higher numbers of listings going on. So yeah, I think that's good for you as a buyer, to be able to come in and ask for sellers to, whether it's reduce their price or give concessions that could really, really help you purchase that property and not come out of pocket with as much. So those are big deals for me as somebody who might be helping you purchase a property. You are picky right now, aren't you, buyers? You can be honest. That's why this market is perfect for you, because you're going to find that you have more inventory and that you can go in there and get that deal you want, be a little bit more picky about what you're buying, and get a deal done. If you're somebody who's coming here from a state that you're having a hard time, I would go ahead and get that home sold and price it right as soon as possible, and so that you could come here and take advantage of this market. I don't think this market's going to last forever, because there are some things that could immediately change. There's something really big that could immediately change the market, and that would be if the Fed did a pivot on the interest rates. And as you might know, the president has asked for those rates to go lower. That guy knows that if the rates were lower, the market would be potentially a lot busier than it is. So I think if you combined a softening right now, I'm not talking a crash, folks. I think there's a lot of people talking crashing markets, and they use that word very strongly. I started in the business when it was crashing. And first of all, things would take time. It's not going to happen. The housing market is just way too stable. It's not going to happen this year. It could be signs of that if other elements were at play, but it would take years. And that's what happened in the Great Recession, which was a huge, huge crash, of course. I don't think we're seeing crash. I think we're seeing softening. So if we're softening up on prices and sellers are having to get more in concessions and even lower their prices, which I can show you the list prices that people are having to reduce right now like crazy. I'll bring that up here in a second. But they are really having, a lot of people lowering those list prices. So that tells me that you can go in there, bully a price, and get concessions paid, of course. Let me show you what I mean. All right, so right here, we have new listings on market, 1,065. That's, it's been up there. It's been up there as high as nearly 1,200 on the 7-day. This is a 7-day, by the way, 7-day average here. We're getting a fair amount of back on markets, but there's always a fair amount there. The price decrease, you see that red there, over 1,000. We've been in that territory on the 7-day average for quite a while. So that tells me right there everything I need to know. These price increases, sellers don't have the confidence to increase their price. There are reasons sellers would increase their price even in a market like this. I don't need to necessarily go over those, but it's not all just because the seller thinks they should raise their price right now and that's going to help them sell, because it more often than not by a huge margin would not help them sell. But you can see under contract, no show. Basically, these are properties that are leaving you. Those properties are not a ton. I mean, I would like to see higher numbers than that for sure in a more balanced market, let's say, if I was a seller. Solds, not a ton again. They're just not matching what's coming on. And let's see, the coming soons, of course, you can add that 93 to that 1,065. So that's, we got quite a few properties on the 7-day average coming on. All right, so I'm a little surprised at this down here, contingent upon sale. I'm not sure if agents don't use that designation all the time, but I would think there would be more contingencies than just 12 out there. So sometimes maybe an agent doesn't know to set that setting. I'm not sure. But yeah, so those price decreases really do lead to me to tell you that you can come into Vegas, and in certain areas and certain properties, you can really muscle around, get that deal. So sell your house wherever you are as soon as you possibly can and come to Las Vegas and nail that deal. Because I think, we are on a very different pathway coming than what we may be used to lately. And when I say lately, in the last several years, it was in 2022 when the rates were raising. We did see a softening in the market then, and then shot right back up after that. People just got used to the rates. There was still an inventory problem. So that same pathway is not going to be, that's not going to be the trend, because people are generally used to rates right now. But I think that what we're really dealing with is a lot of fear in the marketplace, but that could be disposed of as long as we don't have other compiling things that would hurt the economy. Of course, we have what's going on with tariffs and things that I think loom out there. And certainly when the stock market is shaky, people get worried about that. But you know what? Like, the advice that I keep hearing out there is to move your money from the stock market into real estate. And I think a lot of the wealthiest people are doing a lot of that. They are moving money into real estate and looking at real estate as a stable and balancing, them to move money into. And that's because, it's relatively predictable. It's not going to have these big swings like the stock market. And because some of these, deals are out there. I mean, it's certainly in the commercial territory. I think that's what the people are doing. That's what wealthy people are doing. They're dropping that money in there. And I think that the stock market is shaky. And especially if you're talking about buying a primary residence, use whatever earnings that you've made there it could be a very wise move to use that to purchase a property in this market right now. Really, almost any time, but let me show you a video real quick, and we'll comment on that. And that's pretty much what I'm going to have for you today. But this woman, Barbara Corcoran, you've seen her if you watch Fox News there at all. I happen to get her clips because I watch a lot on YouTube, and I just have found her to be right quite often. Even when I thought, wow, she was sort of drinking the Kool-Aid and just trying to stay on the positive side, she has been right. So let's check out what she's talking about here. This is going to be real quick. This is why turmoil may be the best chance to buy. The turmoil in the market. So that's what this was titled. Yeah, and most of you that might be watching this that are coming to Las Vegas, the last thing you're thinking about is renting. I mean, let's be honest. And if I was renting right now, I would want to be renting with the intention to save money to buy. So I'd be out there getting a property that, maybe wasn't all the bells and whistles, just kind of works for me, but saves me a lot of money monthly so that I can purchase. Anyway, here, we'll let her continue. Kaboom. All right. So sorry for the background noise there. So yeah, I mean, aside from the president's talk there, I think she's got a lot of things that are right. And one thing that I wanted to put in your mind was this very different pathway, ultimately being that, look, softening in the marketplace right now. Take advantage of it if you're a buyer. Get your tail to Las Vegas. I'm here to help you anytime. You know how to sell or buy a property here, so that's not a problem. And then look ahead at what might be happening for people who have been waiting on the sidelines. I think a softening market that has a little better prices, a little better opportunity for buyers, along with the Fed pivot. That's what I think is going to happen. It could happen later this year, depending on what happens in the economy down the road here. But I would almost assure that it's going to happen by the beginning of next year. But I actually think it's going to happen sooner, and for several reasons. And then we could be looking at people feeling a lot better about things, especially if we go through the summer fairly stable. Yeah, inventory picking up, sellers having a little bit of a harder time to sell properties just like that. That may not be that big of a deal because a lot of these sellers, especially in Las Vegas, they have equity. If they really want to sell, they can lower their price, or they can just decide, I don't need to sell right now. This is not my time. And right now, I didn't point it out on that chart, but I'm not seeing a ton of people, moving off the market, like, canceling their listings off the market. But that would be a trend if we saw a lot of hangover from these listings. And if these listings kept piling up, many sellers would just say, I don't want to do this right now. And that's because we're not dealing with, in general, a ton of desperation. So if we got to the point where we were dealing with desperation, then that would be a worry. And yes, that would be when we would start bringing the C word into things, the crash. But right now, we're just not seeing that. I'm certainly not seeing that. And so that's my diagnosis as we go forward. I do think that we're in a zone of time here. If you're thinking about coming to Las Vegas, I think you need to hightail it here and get a move on your purchase as soon as possible. Hey, my phone is ringing. I got to get going, but thank you for watching this. Remember, you know how. Please subscribe to the channel and contact me anytime you are ready. My number is... And the last thing I need you to do is have a wonderful day, everybody. Enjoy your week.